Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuits, and we're continuing with the Monster Manual, and now we're on the Archon. There are three types of Archon, so similar to the Angels, I'm going to pick one. The easiest one would be the Lantern Archon. You could simply get a bead or any kind of sphere and make that. That's a size small, I believe. Lantern Archon. Maybe, yeah, here we go. Size small. The next one is the Hound Archon, which is like a super ripped muscular guy with a dog head and no wings or anything. And then the last one would be an easy one because you could just convert any kind of hero clicks or anything with wings and make the Trumpet Archon and make a trumpet for him. And I kind of went back and forth between these two. I've been out of town overnight and thinking about it some, and I decided I'm going to do this, the Hound Archon. So they're size medium, outsider. They're like an angel pretty much. And I think it could be okay to do one. So what I have here is I've got some muscular hero clicks that aren't wearing shirts that can be used as the body. And I've got some dogs and stuff here that I can take a head from. So I don't know what the exact plan is. Unfortunately, this guy's head looks like it might be the best one, but proportionally it's just way big. Maybe this one. Let's see which body we want to use. And you can use any kind of, body for this, or you can make one if you're talented like that. I'm not, but I know some of you guys are probably way better crafters than I am. So I'm going to start with this guy, I think. I'm just going to peel him off his base using a pair of snippers. Get him down to his basest form. And we're going to make him a sword, apparently, because he needs to have a big, great sword. Let's take his head. This guy's name was Mammoth. I'm not sure if he was Marvel or DC or what. I'm guessing he's Marvel. We're going to leave that like that for now until we see how we're going to do our head. I think that one has potential. Let's get something a little sturdy to cut that, though. Instead of using a normal crappy knife, let's get something with a little more pizzazz. Okay, where is one of my knives with a little more pizzazz? Oh, needs a blade. Of course it does. Alright, so we're going back to a shit knife. We'll have that from time to time. So we want this to fit here at a decent angle. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of work this down. Careful not to snap the blade or cut myself if I can help it. Let's see if we can do something with this head first. Okay. He's got a gimpy ear. I could probably sand that. Alright, so this head might not work. But I had never planned on using this Border Collie miniature for anything, so even if I cut it off for nothing, I'll throw it in a box and someday it might find a use. So the head in the book is more of a, it's way too big. It might work. The head in the book is more of a, like a pit bull or something. Like a Doberman and pit bull mix of some sort. I don't have any dog heads like that, at least not that I found in the 4 or 5 boxes I dug through. I guess I could have tore out more boxes and looked, but I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really keep a good dog inventory. Man, this thing is not wanting to cut through. Some sturdy plastic here, dudes. Alright. I have to do a little snippy. Okay. And that is probably closer to the mark. Alright, so let's get... Whoops, that's way too much. Sorry, this is a brand new glue gun. And I have not tried it yet. Okay, something like that. we're going to need to adjust this around some. And then what we want to do on the back here is get a little bit of glue. With this gun, you can just barely squirt. You got to be super careful with this new one I just got. We're going to drag that around to try to look like it meshes together well on its fur. Wow, I'm scared to even use this gun. It's so touchy. Okay. So, I want to talk about living situations today, because it's what's on my mind. In today's world, it is not uncommon for people to live with their parents and stuff. And even though my adult sons don't live with me and I don't live with my parents, I'm meeting more and more people in situations where they are. And I don't think it's weird, because back in the old country, like in Germany and stuff, multi-generational homes are still pretty common. You know, they're not a thing of the past. They're still happening. And in a lot of countries, I can't speak for every country, but I know about Germany, you know, more so. In Germany, multi-generational homes are still alive and strong. They're just a part of life. No one questions it or thinks bad about it. So as Americans, we've been like kind of trained to think we need to grow up and get a house and get 2 cars and have 2.5 kids. And there's just like certain standards you have to meet. And I'm going to be honest with you, those standards are all well and good, and that's kind of the standards I live by, really. But I just want you guys to know that if you're not meeting that standard, you're not failing. Because that standard only exists as so much as it can exist. There's going to be different types of family units and different living situations, and in our times it's becoming more and more common that people don't get married at all, or if they do get married, maybe, you know, it's a man to a man or a woman to a woman, or there's big age differences. Like, the world's just changing, and I want everybody to know, like, don't let some standard that exists in a fictitious space destroy your happiness or your attempts at meeting your own goals. Like, yeah, I'm into that, like, traditional Americana kind of thing, but that doesn't mean it's the only answer or it's the right answer. It just means it's an answer. And so I encountered a young lady who worked at a steakhouse, and for whatever reason, I was on the road and by myself, so I didn't have my family with me. And maybe she gave me some impressions that she was having certain ideas. She was very interested in how much money I made and things like that, and she made some comments that kind of threw me through a loop. And it occurred to me that I needed to have a talk with her about boundaries and what I was and who I was. So, I broke that base. Of course I did. All right, let me start again. No problem. So anyways, I'm not one to want to put people down or make people feel bad or hurt people. But I did have a talk with her, and I explained to her that I was not what she was looking for, and she got it. She didn't seem offended after a few moments of my discussion. And she explained her living situation was not ideal, and that she was trying to find a way out. So we talked, and I gave her some ideas about careers that don't require degrees, that pay well, some STEM fields and stuff. Getting into water treatment and stuff, where if you can get your foot in the door and learn maintenance and stuff, you can take that to other companies, maybe starting out in her municipality looking for a job, things like that. Just very, like, and I talked, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, obviously, or I wouldn't be, like, crafting in my basement in my spare time. I'd have a full-time shop and doing this, but then again, I wouldn't have my job if that were the case, and that'd be sad, because I do like my job. Well, anyways, me and this young lady had this conversation over the course of my meal, and then I went about my business and left. But it got me thinking about people striving to meet standards that don't matter. I don't know if the reason that I strived to get where I am and do what I did and made the sacrifices I made to get here is because that's what somebody told me the standard was, or if because I truly thought it was the best thing for me. I'll tell you now that I have a house and a car and, well, a couple cars, and everything you're supposed to have, according to the system. I'm not saying I dislike it. It's not a bad system. But I would say it's not for everybody. And if it's not for you, don't judge yourself harshly and don't think badly of yourself, because we all have to find our own path. So I just wanted to put that out there so people know you are not obligated by any standards to do what society has deemed as accurately the path. Find your own way, and if you want to craft in your basement, or if you want to craft on the back porch, then you do that. Now, I think this rubber base was a mistake as I'm going into this here, but when I grabbed it out of the drawer, I'd used these for some minis I did a couple of years ago because I wanted them to have like a non-skid rubber bottom, and it worked well. But I don't know how it's going to really work for these guys. I don't know it's going to give me the same level of yeah. So we're going to need to drill a hole in his hand, which probably would have been way easier before trying to put him on a base, if I'm going to be honest. So we're going to assume that, like me, he's a lefty. We're going to pop him off there and wipe his feet, glue off his feet. We're going to drill a hole in his hand. So when you're drilling these holes, it's good to use a vise before you start pin drilling. But my vise is all the way over there to my left, and moving it to get it on screen would be tough where I have it. So let's get a hole through this hand so we can stick the handle of our sword through it. And by handle of our sword, I mean toothpick. Okay. So we're just going to snip that off so we can attach a pommel. We're going to leave it a little bit long because it's a great sword. We're going to get our super glue and some baking powder. Baking soda, not baking powder. There's a difference. We're going to grab some of this. I'm going to shove that down into his hand a little better. So the reason I'm leaving this handle long is because in the artwork for the Hound Archon, they are using a two-handed sword. And I want him to have a two-handed sword. But for it to be two-handed, the handle has to be long enough to sustain two hands on it. Alright, so I cut a little piece here, and it's there. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a little glue on the cardboard here. I just realized you guys can't see the miniature because I have my phone in the wrong position. There we go. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to dip this in the glue. Ooh, that's not good. Get a good bit of glue on there. Then we're going to touch it on this handle, on this guard, cross guard, and get the cross guard wet. Like that. We're going to do that a couple times so it's good and saturated. Then we're going to just dip him down, just the tip of that handle, into our baking soda. Alright, so that was a fail. So we're going to have to pop that baking soda off the tip of that blade again. Okay. We're just going to do it again. I'm going to do a better job this time, that's all. Pardon me. And we want to get that kind of into place there. And then we want to dip that in the glue. Okay. So that solidifies and becomes one solid piece. You can kind of dab off any excess glue you have right here at this point and it'll be alright. So that's going to be our sword handle. We're going to need a pommel for the bottom of that. So let's get my little bin of beads out here. There's a tiny little beads in it. Find one to be a pommel. Now, if you don't have little bins of beads like this, like I have here, this is not something I ran out and bought in one day. This is stuff that I accumulated over time and just keep throwing them into different bins, and that's the bin that ended up in. So if you don't have this stuff, I don't want you to feel like you don't have everything you need, because you don't. Oh, shit. There goes my bead. All right, let's get my bin again. Oh, find another bead. I just lost that one. Okay. Let's try that again. Oops. Oh, Chris. All right, let me calm down here. We can get it. Nope, not like that. We can't. So the wise thing would have been to leave that point on there and get it on that point, but we didn't do that. And we could have just snipped off any point that stuck through the bead, but I didn't do that. So now we got to fight with it like this and try to get it twisted and centered. Something like that. And we can just get a little dab of glue. Turn that into one piece. We'll drip it this way so it goes in the hole. And just get it up there. So that's one solid piece now. Now we can try to glue him to the base again. So let me get some of my mess cleaned up here. Alright. We're back to gluing him to the base, so I'm just getting some super glue. Oh, you bastard, it came loose. Alright, we'll come back to that. Alright, now we need a blade for that sword. So for that we're going to need some kind of thin cardstock or plastic or something. Let me see what we got here. Coffee lids are one of my favorite things to use. I don't know if I have any laying around. Alright, we're in luck. I have found a Philadelphia cream cheese lid that will do nicely for what we want. So anyways, back to what we were talking about, the young lady that I met. I go where I go there fairly regularly for work. So we talked and I told her, she asked me if I would come back and see her again. And I did tell her I would come check on her. So I'm hoping she's going to make some good choices and get herself in a situation where she can go after things she wants instead of doing what she feels like she has to do. Because if you can find a way to combine what you want and what you have to do, you will have a much better life than having to choose one or the other. We're going to clean that up. Clean that up. Now, this Hound Archon does have a sheath on his back. So before we mount that sword blade, we might want to consider putting a sheath on this dude's back and using that as a template for the sheath. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of get an eyeball idea of what that looks like size-wise. Flip it this way so it's square. And I'm just going to make something about twice that big and long enough to be a sheath. Okay. And with this, I'm just going to put a little crease of glue in here. This new glue gun and I we're going to have to get some work done together to figure out where we belong in the system of crafting. Okay. Then I'm going to flatten that out like that. And I'm going to snip a semi-round kind of bottom. Something like that. I'm going to cut the top flat. I'm going to take a little bit of this cardstock I have up here with the glue on it. I'm going to cut a thin strip. I'm going to put one on here to support, to make it a little stronger, right? Of course, I'm going to stick it to my hand. Why not? It's kind of my thing. If you've been watching me for a while now, burn this shit out of myself regularly. The good news is I don't usually notice it till the damage is done. Okay. And where I got that down with my finger, it's not stuck anymore. So what we're going to do is we're just going to reactivate that glue and get it hot again. And this was just to create some support for the hilt, or the sheath, right? Then we're going to wrap it around the outside at the top and give it a that has way more glue than I wanted. New glue gun, I'm learning. Also, while I was out in Ohio, I learned about something else really cool. There's something called Incarceration. It is a music festival with metal bands and rock bands and tattoos. Seemed pretty cool. Didn't know it was a thing. Probably couldn't afford tickets if it was, because I heard they were like $1,000. So only young people that their parents pay for their lifestyle can afford such things. Well, that's not true. Other people can afford it. I just can't justify. When I say I can't afford it, what I really guess I mean is I can't justify spending money on something like that when I have other things I'd rather be spending my money on. That's probably the truth of that, but... Okay, so we have our sheath here. And I'd like to do something at the bottom there. So I think what I'm just going to do is get a little more of that paper. Cardstock, not paper. And I'm going to put some glue here. I'm going to dip it on both sides. I'm going to fold that over. And I'm going to mash that down. I'm going to get scissors and just kind of cut around that and see what it looks like. That looks pretty good, pretty sturdy. Alright, let's glue that on dude's back and then get some hot glue on it. Let's make sure our sword fits in there. It does. Let me snip this off a little better. Nice. Okay. So let's get a dab of glue on his back and get our sheath on there. We just kind of want to rub that around to make sure it gets good contact, but the glue is not sticking out everywhere, unlike what I just did there, which was a miserable fail. Okay. And we want to get some spider webs off if we can. Alright, sweet. Now we want to do our sword blade. To do our sword blade, we're going to get that saturated in glue along the edge. We're going to touch our blade with our hand guard with it. Then we're just going to dip that blade in the glue. And I don't like that tip super much, so I'm gonna just do a little snippy. Something like that. And then we're gonna have to get some super glue and do some touch-up stuff on him. So we know that this sheath is made out of rubber, so we're going to need to kind of sturdy that up so it doesn't bow and bend and stuff. That'll be an easy fix, right? And I'm not squirting it out the whole time, I'm just getting it on there. Then we know this needs to be protected, so we're just going to drag that up along there. Best we can, make it smooth and nice. Alright, so he's going to look something like that. Their face is a little wonky, but I honestly don't have a better face that I could find for a dog man. Unless I really start digging around. And some of that stuff hasn't been opened in quite a while. It might have bugs in it or something I don't like. So anyways, here we are. We're at that point now. If you like what we're doing here, like and subscribe, please. We'd appreciate it greatly. If you want to buy minis, highly detailed quality minis at a good price, a fair price, not a big corporation price, then head to our website, links in the description. And what'll happen when I say goodbye to you here is I will hit him with I'll dry him up, hit him with a primer can, then we'll come back and we'll paint him. So that'll be fun. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, if you are interested in the minis, we have a free oh, I need one more thing I have to do here that did not get done. Oh, you bastard. Alright, this glue gun and I are just going to learn how to work together. Or I'm going to switch back to the old one. One of the two. Yeah, nice. Alright, so this sword doesn't have a pommel. Oh my gosh, this base is not what I want it to be either. Alright, so lessons learned. Do the pommel before you cut off the tip of the sword. And don't use these bases for this, because they are not ideal. Okay. Alright. I will see you guys in part 2. Thanks for watching.